Welcome to our channel, Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive. Joanna Dennehy was not the kind of person you would expect to become one of Britain's most dangerous killers. She was small, pretty, confident, and full of energy. But behind her smile was something cold and frightening. In 2013, she shocked the nation by killing 3 men and trying to murder 2 more. When police caught her, she said she did it because she was bored. She wanted to know how it felt to kill. This is the story of Joanna Dennehy, the woman who killed for fun. Joanna Christine Dennehy was born on August 29, 1982, in St. Albans, Hertfordshire, England. She grew up in a normal, middle-class family. Her parents worked hard and tried to give her a good life. Teachers said she was bright and had promise, but she was restless and difficult to control. By the time she was a teenager, Joanna began to change. She started drinking, smoking, and running away from home. At 16, she left home for good. She drifted between towns, staying with friends, boyfriends, and strangers. She became involved in petty crime and started taking drugs. Her life became unstable and violent. People who met her later said she was magnetic but dangerous. She could charm people easily, but she could also turn angry and cruel without warning. In her 20s, Joanna had 2 children, but she did not raise them. Her relationships were violent and unstable. She chose a life of freedom and danger over family. She had a taste for control and for chaos. By 2012, she was living in Peterborough, a quiet city in Cambridgeshire. She stayed in a small rented house. She spent her days drinking, taking drugs, and surrounding herself with people who would do what she wanted. She liked to dominate and manipulate others. In early 2013, something inside Joanna snapped. She began to talk about wanting to kill someone. Friends thought she was joking, but she was not. She told one man that she wanted to see what murder felt like. Her first victim was a man named Łukasz Slabaszewski. He was 31, friendly, and new to the area. He met Joanna at a house party and was drawn to her charm. She invited him over a few days later. He went, not knowing it would be the last time anyone saw him alive. When Łukasz arrived, Joanna stabbed him through the heart. It was fast and deliberate. She later said she wanted to know what killing felt like. Afterward, she kept his body in a wheelie bin before asking 2 of her friends, Gary Stretch Richards and Leslie Layton, to help get rid of it. Together, they dumped Łukasz's body in a ditch outside the city. But for Joanna, one murder was not enough. The thrill was too strong. Her next victim was John Chapman, a 56-year-old man who shared her house. He was quiet, kind, and had once served in the Royal Navy. On March 29, 2013, Joanna killed him with a single stab to the neck. She felt no remorse. That same day, she turned her attention to Kevin Lee, her landlord and sometime lover. Kevin was 48, a married father of 2, and a local businessman. He was attracted to Joanna and thought he could handle her wild side. He was wrong. Joanna stabbed him in the chest, dressed his body in a black sequin dress, and dumped him in a ditch. She posed him in a strange, humiliating position. Later, she called his death her fun one. When Kevin did not come home, his family called the police. A few days later, his body was found. Soon after, the bodies of Łukasz and John Chapman were also discovered. All 3 had been stabbed. All had been dumped in remote ditches. Detectives quickly realized the murders were connected. They found that all 3 men knew Joanna Dennehy. But by then, she had already left Peterborough. Joanna and her companions, Stretch and Layton, fled across the country. She seemed excited, not scared. She told Stretch she wanted to keep killing, but this time she wanted to kill someone she didn't know. On April 2, 2013, in the city of Hereford, she saw a man walking his dog. His name was Robin Bereza. Without warning, she ran up to him and stabbed him twice. He collapsed, bleeding heavily, but survived. A short time later, she attacked another man, John Rogers, stabbing him multiple times and leaving him for dead. He also survived. These 2 random attacks helped police track her down. A nationwide manhunt began. Joanna Dennehy's face appeared on news screens across Britain. She was described as armed and extremely dangerous. The next day, police arrested her and her accomplices in Hereford. Joanna laughed as she was taken away. In custody, she bragged about what she had done. She said killing made her feel powerful and alive. She told officers she had no regrets. She smiled for her mugshot. During interviews, she told psychiatrists she had killed for fun. She said she was bored and wanted to see what it felt like to take a life. She joked about the murders, calling them a bit of entertainment. Psychiatrists later diagnosed her with antisocial, borderline, and psychopathic personality disorders. They said she had no empathy, no guilt, and no sense of right or wrong. One doctor described her as a sadistic and manipulative woman who enjoyed inflicting pain. In November 2013, Joanna surprised everyone by pleading guilty to all charges, 3 murders and 2 attempted murders. There was no trial, no defense, no excuses. She simply admitted everything. When asked why, she said she did not want to waste time. In February 2014, the judge sentenced her to life in prison without the chance of release, a whole life order. This is one of the rarest sentences in Britain and is given only to the most dangerous offenders. The judge, Mr. Justice Spencer, told her she was a cruel, sadistic killer who murdered for her own pleasure. He said her crimes were so serious that she would never leave prison. Joanna Dennehy joined a very small group of women in Britain who have received this punishment. Others include Myra Hindley and Rose West. In prison, Joanna continued to show the same coldness and control she had before. She was sent to Low Newton Prison in County Durham, a high-security prison for women. It holds some of the most notorious female criminals in Britain. At first, she mixed with other inmates, but it did not take long for problems to appear. Reports from the prison said she was manipulative and violent. In 2018, it was revealed she had planned to kill another notorious inmate, Rose West. Because of this, she was placed in isolation for her own and others' safety. She now spends much of her time alone under close supervision. Even behind bars, Joanna remains a disturbing figure. She has been described as charming one moment and threatening the next. Prison staff say she enjoys playing mind games and likes the attention that comes from her crimes. Her story has fascinated and horrified people in equal measure. Female serial killers are extremely rare, and those who kill for pleasure are rarer still. Most female killers act out of fear, revenge, or financial gain. Joanna's motives were different. She killed for the thrill. Psychologists have tried to understand what made her so dangerous. Some believe she was born with psychopathic traits, a lack of empathy, fearlessness, and a craving for excitement. Others think her violent lifestyle, drug use, and early rebellion shaped her into what she became. But even experts admit that her level of coldness is almost impossible to explain. Joanna herself has offered little insight. When asked why she killed, she often gave simple answers. "It was fun," she said. "I wanted to see what it felt like." These words still shock those who hear them. The case also drew attention because of her accomplices. Gary Stretch Richards was over 7 feet tall, a man who seemed both loyal and weak under her spell. He followed her around like a guard dog, laughing when she joked about killing. Leslie Layton, quieter and less violent, helped cover up her crimes. Both men were later jailed for assisting her, though they claimed they were afraid of her. Joanna's control over them showed her power to manipulate. She used charm, fear, and sexuality to bend people to her will. She liked being in charge and making men obey her. This dynamic, a woman controlling men through violence, fascinated psychologists and the public alike. The media called her Britain's Bonnie Parker, but that comparison misses something. Joanna was not a romantic outlaw. She was a predator. Unlike many male serial killers who stalked their victims, Joanna's killings were impulsive and chaotic. She killed in the open, then bragged about it. She seemed to enjoy the shock value as much as the act itself. Her victims were chosen because they were easy to manipulate or simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Lucas, John, and Kevin each trusted her. They saw her as a friend, a lover, or a neighbor. They never imagined she would end their lives without reason. Even years later, people who knew her struggled to describe her. Some say she was funny and intelligent. Others remember her as cruel and frightening. What they all agree on is that there was something about Joanna Dennehy that felt wrong, as if she was missing the part of a person that feels compassion. Her crimes left deep scars on the families of her victims. Kevin Lee's wife, Christina, spoke of the pain of losing a husband in such a humiliating way. She said Joanna had not only killed Kevin but destroyed their family's peace. Lucas and John's families faced the same grief. For them, Joanna's talk of fun was unbearable. The Peterborough murders forced Britain to confront the idea that evil is not limited by gender. People expect men to be violent, but Joanna shattered that assumption. Her case became a study in what happens when charm, cruelty, and boredom combine in one person. In the years since, she has remained in prison, rarely seen or heard from publicly. Occasionally, letters or reports emerge describing her behavior, still controlling, still unpredictable. She is watched constantly, considered too dangerous to mix with others for long. Her name sits alongside Britain's most infamous killers, not because of the number of her victims, but because of her lack of motive and emotion. She killed 3 men, tried to kill 2 more, and felt nothing. For her, death was entertainment. Psychologists studying her case often point out one disturbing fact. Joanna Dennehy shows what happens when someone with charm and intelligence decides to use those gifts for destruction. She could have lived an ordinary life, but she chose a path of chaos. She sought excitement in the darkest way possible. Today, she remains behind bars at Low Newton, serving her whole life order. She will never leave. There will be no parole, no chance of release. Her story serves as a warning about the thin line between fascination and horror. She wanted attention, and she got it, but at a terrible cost. 3 innocent men lost their lives, 2 more were almost killed, and countless families were left broken. When people ask why she did it, the answer is still chillingly simple: because she wanted to. Joanna Dennehy is a reminder that evil can wear any face, even a smiling one, and that sometimes the most terrifying killers are those who kill not out of hate, but out of pleasure. Subscribe to Crime Loom.